What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? No Life Wood back here again, and this is going to be more of a chill, less edited episode. I'm not going to be editing out any major stuttering or any pauses in my speech because I kind of just want to have a laid back talk today about the overlying reroll problem currently going on in Anime Last Stand. So update 2 came out 3 or 4 days ago. I don't know the exact date, but out of this update until now, 6 new units have been released. Out of those 6 units, 4 of them are people, or they're units that you're going to want to roll on. They're units that you're going to want to get good traits on. For these, in my opinion, the 4 units that you need to roll on, we have been given 40 rerolls in total. That's how much we've been given from the codes from since update 2 until now. That would leave just 10 rerolls per unit. All the necessary traits in this game are less than a 1%, and there's no real reason to grab traits that aren't these top tier less than 1%, because it's not like they're branching into a different avenue. It's just a nerfed version of these rarer traits, and the trait power gap in this game is massive, right? A unit that has Overlord or Avatar is performing on a different level compared to a unit that doesn't. It's not like it's just not even close, really. And I think a big part of that is the big cost issue that I've been talking about in my past few videos, where you don't have enough money to get more than 1 unit upgraded in the content that we're all kind of forced to farm right now. So if your 1 unit doesn't have an insane trait, probably a trait that has 1 placement, since you can only upgrade 1 unit, then what do you do, right? In Anime Adventures, the game that, let's be honest, this is heavily inspired off of and simultaneously worse than. In Anime Adventures, traits were useful, but they didn't define a unit. What I mean by that is having one of the rare traits in Anime Adventures. So this is going to be your unique, this is going to be your, Reaper, stuff like that, your golden on your money units, traits like those. You were always like going after them, right? You were always rolling, just hoping that you would get one of them, mainly unique, because it really did give your unit a good power boost. But playing without those traits, the reason that Anime Adventures was so popular is because playing without those traits still wasn't even that bad of an experience. What it was, the difference between these games is that Anime Adventures had so much more diverse content. You had the daily challenges you could do, you had the story mode, you had your raids, you had your infinite mode, and you had your events that you could farm. And I know people are already going to make the argument that Anime Last Stand hasn't been out long enough to have all of that content. But the difference is, it doesn't seem like the developers are really focused on varying the content right now. That's the biggest issue with Anime Last Stand, in my opinion. The content right now, in the past, and in the future is just 15 waves and then you're done. So for every guide that I make, for every showcase that I do on a character, I can't reasonably recommend to you that you do anything outside of the story mode 15 wave meta, because the devs haven't given me any reason to believe that we're going to be leaving that meta anytime soon. Another thing that Anime Adventures kind of did was, when it came to power creep, it wasn't as bad as it currently is in Anime Last Stand. There was power creep, obviously, right? You can't have a unit at the beginning of the game and 6 months later it's still able to perform at the top of the meta. That's just not how it's going to work for these types of games. I know that. But when it came to Anime Adventures, if I rolled unique on a Metal Knight, right? That unit is going to be useful for like 3 more months, 4 more months. And when I say useful, I'm not even like certain situation. Like must have on your team. You rolled unique on this unit. You have a major advantage. Like you basically be in the game for the next few months. Your account's set. Already, the power creep has gotten miserable in Anime Last Stand. Yuta just released, and although he has the issues that I've spoken about, I'm assuming some of those issues are going to get fixed sometime soon, and when that happens, Yuta is just a better version of Gojo with a million times better utility. Minato comes out, his evolution is by far the best support in the game, undoubtedly. There is never a support that you're going to be using over Minato, ever. Money units are coming soon. We know Bulma's coming out soon. And we know Bulma is most likely going to have a different feature from Speedwagon. And we heard that she's also going to be a buffer. So she's also going to have a support effect. So that's undoubtedly going to be the best money unit in the game. It's been 2 updates, and how many units have we had power crept already? Guts is getting power crept by Albedo. Every support unit is irrelevant because Minato's here. Gojo got butchered, and now Yuta is better than him. The only unit currently, if you rolled on them, if you pulled them, that still has top of the meta right now is like Sukuna. If you got Avatar on him, and it's... Okay, his damage is still on top, but it's mostly because of his nuke, right? And the thing about this, right, it wouldn't be that bad of a deal if you could get trait rerolls, but there's no current, as of now, there's no current method in the game to reliably farm trait rerolls once you hit your end game. And you really can't even pay for trait rerolls, or at least no reasonable, not reasonable, but no like normal individual that is a player of this game is going to be paying for trait rerolls. The main thing that I'm talking about here is the conversion rate on your trait rerolls. So for 100 trait rerolls, you're going to be spending about 7,500 Robux. It's $50 for 4,500 Robux. Meaning you're spending over $50 for 100, and then your rates, like 1 out of 100 is 1%. The traits we're all going for in the game is 0.1%. Theoretically, it's going to take 1,000 rerolls for some people to get a celestial trait, and I know that you on your account, you may have 1, you may have 2, you may have 3, but I promise you, everybody has different luck. I have gotten lucky myself, but I know for a fact, I've read so many Discord messages, there are people that have used every reroll that you've been able to farm in the game right now, and they haven't gotten a celestial trait. And those people, what are they supposed to do right now? You can't even buy any because it's 75. It's over $50 for a snowball's chance in hell to get one of these traits. No normal person, let's assume that the audience for this video game is a child, maybe like a 14 to 18 year old. Nobody has that kind of money unless they're like either making content on this game or doing illegal activities to spend on this game, in addition to the amount of time that you have to spend on this game to get like the full enjoyment out of it. Out of the 10 hours it takes to grind up a new unit compared to the hundreds of dollars you have to spend to get a good trait on one unit, let alone the 4 in this update that have been worth getting a good trait on. And this game, right, you're spending money. If you're spending money, or you're spending your precious free-to-play farmed rerolls to get a trait on a unit that is getting power crept literally the next update. The way that you maintain this type of system, where you were progression in a game, or the progress that everybody's wanting to enjoy in a game, the content essentially, in a gacha game of this type, is maintained by limiting power creep and introducing new mechanics. So I'm going to give you an example of how other gacha games are kind of maintaining this, while Dragon Ball Legends is kind of a bad example because every unit that comes out is stronger than the last. They're fixing this, or they're actively like they soften the blow of this issue by constantly going back and re-adding new features in the form of Zenkai buffs, right? That is the term that they use for kind of boosting up old units that haven't been meta for a while now, so that if you're a free-to-play player and if you spent a bunch of your free-to-play farm currency to get that unit and you don't have enough to get the new ones, and that's the only unit you can use, you still have options because that unit is getting buffed, right? So far, anime Last Stand, that hasn't happened. That's only happened one time, and that's for Saber. Otherwise, like, other than that, there hasn't been any going back and rebuffing of units that might not be as strong as the current ones that are in the meta. There's been no attempt to really balance units, right? Roy Mustang is going to be the best burn DPS in the game. Itachi's, like, as far as we know right now, Itachi is never going to be as good as Roy Mustang when it comes to burn DPS. They're not going to go back and do any of that to fix that. So if you got Avatar on Itachi thinking that the unit would last you a long time, and then here comes a Roy Mustang and he's just the better unit by far, what do? Let's talk about another example of a game that the Honkai Star Rail, right? Their efforts to avoid power creep, right? They do have power creep, but their efforts to avoid it are make the content in the game, the content that everybody is on average doing, that is easy, right? It's not so easy that you're falling asleep doing it, but it's easy enough so that pretty much no matter what team you have, so long as you are sensible about your character builds, you are going to be able to clear in-game content. And they add more difficult content that might require you to have the new units or the new meta. And the way that they balance that is that this harder content, it's optional. You don't have to do it if you want to, or if you don't want to. And then the rewards, they're not absurd. They're not rewards that are so good that people who can't clear that content are stressing about it, right? So those are two games that have kind of managed to worm their way around the power creep problem that is going to, it kind of shows the game for what it is when it comes to spending money. Anime Last Stand isn't doing anything in this regard yet. Recently, as of the creation of this video, the developers have come out with a poll, and this poll is asking about the possibility of putting in a system where rerolls can drop from the challenge system at about 10%, and you're getting like 1 to 3 rerolls per drop that you get. However, they're simultaneously ruining this by saying we're gonna make it so that you can't farm or you can't AFK any map. And it's just not a good decision for a game like this. Why? Because the AFK chamber that we currently have, it's miserably bad. It just gives you nothing. It's almost not even worth your time to like be wasting your electricity bill on. New gameplay isn't added fast enough, right? So there's no way that the portal update drops and it's pretty much the same content, the same challenges we've been farming. There's no way I spend 3 days of grinding doing that and then immediately want to go and farm challenges for rerolls. Like it would burn you out so quickly doing content like that. Another reason, the game is already grindy enough. To get the new evolutions that you need, it's taking like hours and hours and hours, on top of you need to grind rerolls, on top of you need between 100 and 200 rerolls for a good chance of getting something that you need. So up until now in the video, I have been dishing out a lot of criticism kind of regarding like every aspect in the game so far. So what I want to do is, since I personally don't believe in criticizing an issue without offering at least an attempt at a solution, I'm going to tell you kind of what I would do in this situation regarding the developers. So the idea of farming rerolls, keep, right? The 10% though, we got to up that. 20%, 1 to 3 rerolls, farm that from challenges. It's grindy, but it's not soul like suckingly grindy, and it's not going to burn your community out the same way that it would right now with a 10% rate. And then the whole map AFK thing, come on. We need to keep map AFK because you guys don't offer another system. You don't offer another system that is better, on par, or even slightly worse. It's dramatically worse in every aspect. And let's be honest here, right? Let's just be fully honest. And I hate to say this, but the game really isn't fun enough to be intently sitting at your computer, retrying every 6 minutes, placing on like doing the same monotonous task over and over again on the same 2 or 3 maps with like no difference. The game's not fun enough for that. Keep AFKing, add the reroll farming system, and then increase the amount of rerolls that we're getting for codes. Give us like 20 rerolls per unit that you are putting out for an update, to at least give people like a shot in the darkness at getting a good trait, right? There's always going to be those lucky people that they put in like 5 rerolls and they get the best trait for that unit, and then they're set, right? Oh, they go to the Discord server, hey, I got so and so and only 5 spins. But that's not the reality for most people. Most people, I have a friend that literally has never gotten a celestial trait and is struggling to. I have to urge him to keep playing this game because the game is so like not unplayable, but it is boring, and it is just, you feel like you're doing nothing if you don't have any notable traits. So increase code, add way to farm rerolls, and then please, all you have to do is add in this system at a reasonable rate, right? If anything, here's what you do. Add in the reroll farming system, but make it so that you farm challenges, and then for like a certain period of time, the chances of you getting are 50%, right? Make it 50%. And this is just going to be for like a stretch of time, so maybe like a week or 2. And then during that time period, stop hyping up the new units for the new updates and sit down and focus on the quality of life for the game, right? I want bug fixes. I want systems and features that Anime Adventures had, where if I'm going into a story mode, I can queue to see other people that are doing those story modes, like a matchmaking system. I want this tourney added. A battle pass would be nice so that we have something to progress forward to besides whatever the new unit for the update is. In this way, you balance out the stale content, because I'm going to be honest, I'm probably not going to be playing this game for like a dramatically longer amount of time if every update is just, okay, here's 15 waves on the same map that we've been doing since update 1. Here's the new unit who's better than the old unit that you just spent all your time and resources grinding. That's not fun. It's just not, right? They have what it takes to make the game better. They just need to focus on it, and I promise you it's not going to be an issue. All you do, you drop the 50% reroll system for like a week straight, a week and a half, right? You ignore all the kids on Discord asking for the new update, where's the new units. You ignore them because they don't know what they're talking about, right? And then you focus on improving the game so that it has a good foundation, because putting sprinkles on a turd at this, like, it doesn't work. We need to get rid of the turd and replace it with a cupcake. Stop drizzling sprinkles on something that already isn't edible. We don't need new content, we need new foundation. That's my 2-piece on it. This was a very long video. Shout out to you if you actually stuck to the end of this video. This was kind of just like a big rant, really, about the reroll system and like kind of just greed, right? Just overall greed. And for how much these devs are making to put out a 10 reroll code and say we're generous, like, it's just not gonna work. This is No Life Wood here. Don't expect content like this too much often. I prefer not to be this negative about situations like this, but it really is hard to keep coming out and saying here's the new update, here's the new unit, when it's kind of like the devs are just here to make a bag at this point. So hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, subscribe if you did, and I'll see you on the next one.